Brian Tyler Cohen. Brian, thank you for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I saw over the weekend you were posting about our state school superintendent, Ryan Walters, and you see Oklahoma's Trump-loving, Bible-thumping superintendent faces porn probe. 2 Oklahoma Board of Education members said Ryan Walters was not apologetic after a video of naked women played in his office during a state meeting, and those were both Republicans that reported this. Here's the thing. The only thing that surprises me about this is it was straight porn. Because he's cruel.
Or these days, adult porn, with all the Epstein stuff going on.
Yeah, no, he absolutely is the biggest hypocrite, Trump Bible. So I loved that, the hypocrisy going on with MAGA. Have you been seeing a lot of traffic about the Free Ghislaine stuff?
I have. I mean, the first indication I got that this was happening was Greg Kelly on Newsmax, who floated this idea that she may just very well be the victim in all this. And look, you and I do this every day. It takes a lot to surprise us. That was one of those moments where I'm like, they're actually doing this right now. There are no lengths that they won't go to cover for Trump. And if that includes running cover for Ghislaine Maxwell, who was not only Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice and assistant trafficker, but she committed these crimes as well.
Right.
And to frame her as the victim is actually pretty in line with how I think about all of the MAGA universe, because this is the victimhood mentality that kind of pervades the whole movement. It's to frame Donald Trump as a victim when he's anything but. I mean, he has spent his whole life conning people, and he continues to do so now, but still presents himself as the victim. And they can transpose that idea onto anybody. I mean, it does not matter how depraved of a human being you are. And the fact that they're trying it with Maxwell right now is a testament to that.
I know. I was shocked. I'm with you. It takes a lot to shock me. But the fact that they would now think that Ghislaine Maxwell deserves to be pardoned and all this to cover Trump's ass. All of these hundreds of victims, nobody gives a shit about them as long as Trump's ass is covered. So I just think it's disgusting. And then he said something this morning that blew me away.
And Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island.
What?
The privilege.
What did you I mean, I'm just he is a train wreck. He's off the rails.
The privilege. This, imagine saying that now. We've gone through 3.5 weeks of the worst news cycle of Donald Trump's entire life, where most of the country is okay, what are your links to this famed, notorious pedophile? And the first thing he says 3 weeks in about this is that he didn't have the privilege of going to this guy's island.
It's really unbelievable how many times this has come up, and he can't do anything better. I mean, he's a con artist and a grifter at heart. He can't overcome this. And here's something interesting. I always think when he's throwing out Larry Summers from Harvard and Bill Clinton, number one, I have no doubt Bill Clinton was on there. I've known that from jump, that he was in on this.
Yeah.
I don't have a Trump, or I don't have a Bill Clinton flag or t-shirt. And he should be, I mean, if we found out he did committed crimes, he should be punished. I have zero issue with that. But if he never was briefed on the file, how does he know how many times Bill Clinton was at the island? Is what I want to know.
Right. I mean, the whole thing is contradictory. He just keeps stepping on his own fate. The whole time he's just stepping on his own toes. It's just whatever errant synapse fires in his brain, and words fall out of his face, and that becomes the new position. And then, of course, which would be bad enough unto itself, but then you've got all of these other sycophants on the right. You've got the Mike Johnsons of the world, the Charlie Kirks of the world, who see this and they're like, guess this is my new talking point. Guess I have to go out there and try and defend all this stuff. And this is now they have to figure out how to explain away the fact that Donald Trump did not have the privilege of going on Epstein's island.
Sounds like he was hurt he wasn't invited to the cool kids club. I mean, that's
it literally does sound like that. Yeah.
It really does. Okay, I'm glad you brought up Mike Johnson, because when I see the Ryan Walters thing, our state superintendent, and Mike Johnson, they're constantly banging on about homophobia, porn, all that stuff. And I think, to be that cruel and that depraved, there is a repressed gay man in those men. And so the fact that both of them, who are, standing on their Bibles all the time.
The Trump, technically, I think with Ryan Walters, that is the Trump Bible.
It is in fact the Trump Bible. Yes.
It's literally the Trump Bible. He mandated the purchase of those Bibles.
Yes. And he put the big lie in our history books in Oklahoma. Like, we're never going to get better.
Wild. Yeah.
But at what point does the hypocrisy fail them? Or is it just, this is going to be a lifelong thing, the hypocrisy, they're just going to ride it, even if they have to crash into a wall?
Yeah, that I think is kind of their superpower. And I say this both like derisively, but also admiringly, in the sense that how do you shame the shameless? I mean, it's really difficult, because there was a world years and years and years ago where you can call out somebody's hypocrisy and that counted for something. Like, you can shame them into some having some, integrity. I don't know, but I mean, now we're at the point where you've got people that present themselves as the pro-life, the pro-family party, who are like lining up behind these ICE raids where they're ripping families apart. You've got these people who present themselves as the states' rights party, where the second Roe was overturned. They introduced legislation to ban abortion nationwide. You've got these people who present themselves as fiscal conservatives, who 5 minutes later explode the deficit by $4 trillion. And so how do you shame the shameless? How do you talk to people? How do you get something out of people that say one position and 2 minutes later vote for something that would completely undermine your own stated position? That's the difficult part, because no one's holding them to account on their own side. I mean, again, like, Trump says something and all of a sudden the entire party's North Star just shifts, 10 feet to the right. And so it becomes really difficult to know how to I guess, defeat a party that can't be reined in by shame.
They're not embarrassed. Like, I think about Watergate. The reason Nixon resigned is he had so much pressure within his own base.
Yeah.
And this with Epstein, massive cover-up, which I might say there are so many massive corruption things that have gone on in Trump's presidency. This is but the one we're talking about today. His party has enabled him. So I look over the course of the next 15, 20 years, these people are still going to be around. The people that have made excuses and enabled this kind of behavior. And I'm just wondering, will young people ever understand that politics is supposed to be about competent people making legislative policy that helps citizens, or is it always going to be a clown car from now on?
Yes, the latter. I think we didn't understand the extent to which, even years ago, politics was always just kind of about vibes. I think that now we're in a totally different world where the extent to which policy matters is just kind of nearing zero. And a lot of the reasons that I think people support politicians, whether it's Trump or anybody else, is either polarization, right? Or just vibes, just like, he said this one thing one time and I like that. And so that's it. I don't think people are looking into the intricacies of Medicaid policy when they're determining who's going to help them. That's why we often see people vote against their own interests too. But I think, and this is the left and right, both sides rely on political affiliation and how closely it adheres to your identity. And it's less about what party's actually going to do what for you, as opposed to this is the tribe I'm in. Right.
And with this, you have Mike Johnson, who was getting on the, floor of the Capitol saying, the floor of Congress saying, oh, we're not cutting Medicaid. And he says it with a straight face. And so people just believe it. And then Fox News echoes. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Well, that's the benefit, by the way, of having a media ecosystem that just won't push back and won't even, expose any lies that you yourself have told. And it allows all these Republicans who largely appear in those silos, those media silos, to be able to say one thing, do the complete opposite, again, have no shame about it, and know that nobody's going to push back. Hannity's not going to come up there and say, well, hold on, you said that you weren't going to cut Medicaid, and now 17 million people are going to lose their Medicaid. He's echoing the same thing that they are. The whole thing is a con from top to bottom. But again, you've got these. First of all, our media is completely bifurcated, so you have left and right, and no one's going to hear anything from people on the other side. And within those ecosystems, I mean, you've got bad actors. You've got Hannity and Laura Ingraham and Judge Jeanine. I mean, these are the people that you have to rely on to be able to push back on these Republicans within that ecosystem where right-wing voters actually consume their news. So of course it's not going to happen. And we're left in a situation where you've got people, A, again, voting against their own interests, and B, not even recognizing who is responsible for doing things that are going to have cataclysmic impacts on people. When Americans start to lose healthcare by the millions, there will be a massive contingent who then believes the subsequent lie, which will be that the Democrats are responsible for it.
Right. Joe Biden did it.
No, Joe Biden did it, totally.
Oh. One thing I was going to ask you about is Nancy Mace is a case study in just complete unwell.
Yeah.
So she, and with all
on the topic of shamelessness.
Exactly. And what's so interesting is you have Stephen Miller, who is just depraved and cruel and mean, and he likes the torture. And he's running the policy, in my opinion. Trump doesn't give a shit about the policy. He likes the perks. He likes the power. He likes the brazenness. But so Nancy Mace, I feel like this is how a lot of these triple Trumpers feel about these immigrants and how they are watching this with glee.
New sheriff in town, I have to tell you, one of my favorite things to watch on YouTube these days are the court hearings where illegals are in court and ICE shows up to drag them out of court and deport them. I can think of nothing more American today than keeping our streets safer by getting those violent criminals out of the United States of America.
I mean, I'm just your favorite thing to watch on YouTube is people who are going through the legal process as it is supposed to be followed and being arrested. And then you just throw in their criminals, but we never know. We don't know if they're criminals.
Yeah. Nancy Mace's only longstanding principle is more attention for Nancy Mace. And she knows that if she says outlandish things like that on the internet, that she gets attention from people in the farthest fringes of the MAGA base, and she gets her likes and her clicks. And that's all Nancy Mace cares about. Nancy Mace will go wherever the wind blows. She stands for literally nothing, again, other than attention for herself. And so she'll say whatever she has to say to get a rise out of people in hopes that people will then talk about it. But that's all Nancy Mace stands for. And so we will continue to see her descend into the depths of depravity because so long as she can get another eyeball, whether it's making herself the hero or the heel, doesn't matter. She just wants people to look at her. She is the worst of politics. She's the worst of humanity, and she puts that on full display without an ounce of shame.
No, I completely agree. And I could sit here and talk about Stephen Miller until my head fell off. Terry Moran didn't go far enough with hatred as his spiritual nourishment. I feel like Nancy Mace goes right into that category.
Yeah, you want to talk about people, hometown, not exactly heroes. Stephen Miller is from Santa Monica, which is, I'm sitting here in Los Angeles right now, and it just chips away at my soul to know that somehow Santa Monica, California, churned out somebody like Stephen Miller.
Right. It seems like he was made in a lab in Hollywood, like the Frankenstein character.
Maybe that's the way you explain away his Los Angeles connection. Is we've created a hell of a lot of villains in this city, and usually they're fictional, but every once in a while we get one that's real. Absolutely,
and he is the worst, in my opinion, of this whole administration. I mean, and that's you have a lot to pick from. Brian Tyler Cohen, thank you so much for joining me today. You can follow Brian. You're everywhere. YouTube.
YouTube. I mean, all the platforms. My main platform is YouTube, though.
Yes, I watch you on YouTube, and I love your social media, too.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
We'll see you later. Thank you.